as high priority as it is.
The thing here is that because you've had so many bans, though, he does actually do pretty well. Because if you try and go towards something like the Nidalee, Udyr just runs you down. He doesn't really care. He'll just chase you through the jungle and will have a quicker clear to begin with as well. So if you can secure strong lane matchups here for LNG, and especially with that Renekton locked in, you can go towards the Gnar for McCoo if you want to. Although, again, a base, there is that swap opportunity. But certainly you can try and use the strengths of this Udyr to set your lanes up well and put Bo behind.
And it's worth mentioning as well that the Nidalee is not in isolation here. It's alongside a Renekton, which is an incredibly potent 2v2 on the top side of the map. We saw in the interview just before the series, Bo was saying we need really good top jungle 2v2 and mid jungle 2v2. So already setting a bit of that up. This Tristana, though, that has been banned against LNG almost every single game since one of their wins earlier on in the split, has made it through, and LNG immediately snapped that up for life.
Yeah, I mean, it's been banned 83% of their series up until this point, and even we saw it banned in the last game as well, so that stat's going to be even higher. However, I like this from LNG. This feels much more like comfort for LNG. You've got Makuya on towards the Gnar in the top lane, it's most played champion. You've got Tarzan on a jungler that can dominate the jungle matchup, and Light on this late game scaling AD carry that they can look to play around. This is classic LNG, and this is where I want to see if they can have more of an impact than they did in this last game.
I won't be too surprised to see some more AD carries banned, honestly, by LNG. Just set up a really, really great lane state for this Tristana. The rell will do well to try and deny that all in if you can crash down where the Tristana's jumping to, but can be very, very difficult. In fact, LNG, they're aware that this Renekton is not necessarily up towards the top side, so they're trying to set up Makuya for success.
And I'd also like to see the Jace ban here. So I like that we're kind of rating this going, hey, look, it still could be for Nuguri. But honestly, the Jace works well in twofold. One, making sure that you're not getting some kind of weird counter pick in the top lane because you're moving Renekton mid. But two, there is the opportunity to just opt in towards a long range composition here as FPX. You've got the Nidalee, you could go towards Jace. It does really well against the likes of this Gnar and also this Udyr, who don't really want to be in too long range of a matchup.
I wouldn't mind seeing something like a Jhin or a Xayah here at the side of FPX. Just go for a... Okay, never mind. They want to fight. Forget Jhin. Forget Xayah. They're not playing safe. They're playing for the 2v2 right now. I was expecting they wanted to get Crisp out of the lane, but I think that they just want to brawl.
FPX need to get off to a good start here, though. They need Bo to be very active in the early stages, because if you're going to go for this dive composition like they've organized here, and you're playing into a Gnar, an Udyr, now Gragas, even the Azir as well picked up for Icon here. It was very hard for you to coordinate that, but you're also enabling LNG's composition so well. So FPX, if they don't have a lead, it's very easy for Gnar to get off this big ultimate, the Azir to reset these fights, and suddenly this heavy dive composition has used everything. It's exhausted and it's going to get battered by LNG.
The Camille is the final pick, though. I think this might be Camille going towards the top side. But Lwx and Doinb just traded. Okay, there we go. Fixed it.
Yeah.
Nuguri going to be having this Camille. Expect him to take over the game. I don't know the Narva's Camille matchup particularly well, but I do know that Doinb gets to have a lot of fun in the mid lane on this Renekton. I know that Nuguri is just going to be favored regardless of the champions at the top side, honestly, at this point. So I'm looking towards Bo having those advantageous 2v2s that he talked about.
Yeah, this is essentially a winning top, a winning bot for Bo, and he is his pick of the litter as to where he wants to go. Because even in the mid lane, Doinb can try and get on top of this Azir and set up the Nidalee. I'd prefer to see Bo try and play through these side lanes, though, specifically in that top lane. The Camille matchup is pretty nice for Camille. Once she gets on top of the Gnar, she's in great shape, and it's pretty easy to do so with hook shots, and also as well with the sweep, the tactical sweep, being able to slow this Gnar and provide you that opportunity to close the gap. So if you set up for a spear from Nidalee, that's a dead Gnar very, very quick in this early stages of the game.
Especially in that mini Gnar, he's paper. He's basically made of paper at that point. You just cut through him. I am a little bit curious about the bottom lane the bottom lane duo that we're getting out of Light and Lwandi. Obviously, the Tristana has been a comfort for Light. It's been something that's banned against LNG very often. Lwandi with the Gragas, though, is not something I was necessarily expecting to come through today. Maybe looking for a chance to catch out Lwx and Crisp if they miss position.
Exactly, and it does well against Crisp specifically as well. Again, the belly bop just means that you can't really land that crash down because of how long it takes that animation to go through. And also, again, more disengage, just buying space for light, buying space for icon. And on LNG side here, they don't even have to be the ones that are making these early aggressive plays. You can as Tarzan if you want in this bottom lane, potentially up towards working with Mikuya for Nuguri in the top lane, although that said, it'll be a little bit harder. But ideally, all that LNG want to do is scale into the late game. Get light to 3 items, get icon to 3 items, and from that point forward, their team fight will just be unstoppable.
If they get to 3 items, that will be the big question, right? Can they scale through this game? Can they get themselves to a point where these later game carries like the Tristana and the Azir can do these things? Because in the early game, FPX are going to be in charge. You've got the Samira that can dominate a lane phase. Once again, if you get those kills early on Samira, you can take over the game. But let's talk about the junglers here as we start this one off. We've got both of our junglers starting on their bot side, both getting leashes. Neither team trying to hide information right now. Going to be fully aware of what's going on. But it does mean we could have a bit of a skirmish on the top side at level 3.
I think the idea here from Tarzan is, look, I need to make sure that Bo isn't interacting with mid or that top side of the map. This is where this Nidalee is going to have our impact in the early stages. And because I've got Icon on this, Azir has opted towards the Comet, a more lane dominant rune. He should be able to poke Doinb back, try and get some control of this mid lane, and hopefully be able to help. Same with Mikuya, at least levels 1 to 3. This Gnar with the range and with these boomerangs can push the lane and still have pressure on towards the scuttle in the top side.
Yeah, he'll try and have pressure anyway, but Nuguri definitely the one with pressure right now, as the junglers do get towards the top side of the map. You can see Bo with a bit of a better pace, at least to start off with. Tarzan on this Udyr, clearing a little bit more slowly, this is what you talk about with Nidalee, right? Nidalee is just insanely fast at clearing the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much even. You've got, like, they're both started on this top side. Bo has only just gone for the 4 camps, hasn't gone for the full clear that we see from Tarzan here, because he wants to try and make something happen for Icon.
There's the stun, forces the flash out of Icon, so flash for flash in the mid lane. But importantly, Bo stopped clearing his jungle for that, so could be a camp behind at this point as Tarzan has just been power clearing this whole time.
The big issue here, though, is Icon's out of mana. So whereas Doinb only has to manage that health bar, you got to manage your mana as Icon. So with that play, Bo has unlocked Doinb to go and help up towards the scuttle, because as Icon, with no mana, no flash, he's a very vulnerable bird.
He is, but Tarzan's a level ahead in the jungle matchup. Bo starting this scuttle crab off. He's just going to launch some javelins on towards Tarzan, who realizes this is not a fight that he can take right now. Tarzan will have to go down towards the bottom side of the map. You can see the on the way ping. But Bo, I don't think is just going to let this one go for free. Moves towards the bot side himself. Doinb has shoved out the mid wave as well. So once again, priority is there. And FPX get themselves a double scuttle.
Yeah, and you can see even Lwx and Crisp are starting to teeter over. We're considering taking that scuttle for themselves, but they just decide to give that pressure over instead and allow Bo to get the double scuttle. So great start here for this Nidalee. Great start for Bo. And now he'll get to get a nice reset, be able to move towards his top side if he wants to, clear out the Krugs, and look for some sort of play on this top side of the map.
Also, his camps are respawning right this second, so he could go for the reset, or this is a perfect opportunity to just go for another nice, easy clear if he wants to before going for the reset. With the scuttles both down, we'll see what he opts to go for. But Bo definitely feeling good after the way these first couple of trades have gone in the jungle. It's Mikuya getting bullied out a little bit on that top side. Crisp takes a bomb to the head. There's a stun coming through. His light will walk away with his life, but he takes a lot of damage for the trade.
Still looking for more at the Ferromancy mount up, trying to see if they can get the knockback, but not able to. But again, we talked about already, Lwx and Crisp, they've got a great spot here. Bo forgoes the recall. He's trying to make a play on towards Light.
Oh, the flash stun comes on through. Light doesn't even have chance to react, doesn't get to flash away. It's 2 kills for FPX in trade for 1. Bo is here as well to try and finish off a plate, but Lwx is quite happy to just proxy this minion wave, wait for the next one to come in. But in fact, he can just get himself a free resell.
And this is so much experience loss for Light, so much pressure lost in this bottom lane as well. The kill for Lwx, the snowball start in this bot lane for FPX, and just what we said at the start, FPX need to get the ball rolling. If we get into a situation where they're trying to go for these dives and LNG are even or even ahead, that's where they're going to find a lot of pains. But already off a nice flash here from Crisp, sets up that kill on towards Light, and there's nothing you can do as this Tristana.
Yeah, I mean, Lwandi does a good job to trade at least one kill as Chris kind of got stuck underneath the tower. But yeah, the flash forwards is just beautiful to set the kill up. And Light just gets eradicated. We talked about it before, right? One of the things we said about this bot lane matchup is, for Light, you can't afford to fall behind. If the Samira gets ahead, she will take over the game. Well, Lwx has a kill. He has an assist. He's got a minuscule CS advantage, but that wave is pushing in towards him as well. We're already getting to the point where it's starting to get a little bit scary for the bot lane of LNG.
And it looks like FPX don't want to let up this pressure either. Bo could have gone for a play in this top lane, as you can see. Not in the best wave state here for Mikuya, but he's actually opting back towards this dragon on the bot side. They want to power home this play on the bottom lane.
They're taking a good amount of damage here. Gnar about to arrive for Mikuya, who is level 6, and Nuguri has to be cautious or not. Maybe he'll just get slammed against the wall. Does get his shield up. Can he actually survive this one, though?
He's no flash.
He's minion blocked. He's got no way out. The grasp cannot save you, and Mikuya solo kills Nuguri.
The man, the myth, the legend that is Mikuya comes back into LNG, and all silence to the haters, because this guy has just picked up a kill on towards Nuguri in what I did not expect to happen. Bot side though. Oh, great stop.
Light's jump is deleted. It's removed. He doesn't get to play the game. Lwandi goes down as well. Another dash available for Lwx. He's taking a good amount of damage. Heal comes on through as he's chased down by the bear man. Tarzan trying to close the gap. Can't quite finish off these kills. Crisp walking away with his life here. Tarzan in the 2v1. Can he finish it off? The answer is yes. The bear man is here.
The bear slaps are too strong for the FPX bot lane. 2 kills go the way of Tarzan, but Light has fallen. Lwandi is gone. And although that jungler's doing well, that is still LNG's bot lane falling behind.
Tarzan managing to make a play happen here, salvaging what is happening on the bottom side of the map. Really, really crucial. But importantly, no assists there. Or I think there was 1 assist that came on through. Oh, no, that's from the other play. That's from the play before. So neither of these kills got assists
nothing.
here.
Yeah, but this is amazing from Crisp. This is the power of rell. Like, being able to jump onto Light, interrupt the jump, even getting that stun afterwards as well. And then, unfortunately here though, Lwx, he's got nowhere to go. Burns the flash. They tried to make this play happen. You can see Crisp gets the reattach there, and you got a 3-second delay until you can pop that again. But unfortunately, they just don't survive long enough, and fair juice to Tarzan, he doesn't put himself in harm's way to get stunned up and fall like his bottom lane.
And the thing is, like, you could see where FPX were going with that. They had the Inferno trigger, but the split second it's popped, it's just Tarzan stuns it immediately. Nuguri is now in trouble because Tarzan, he's making his way around the map. He's going for the world tour, trying to gank every single lane at least once. Because Lwandi, he's suddenly alone underneath this tower. Doinb has roamed down. The damage is there, but Lwandi's surviving, and Doinb getting pretty low for himself. Light is in trouble as Lwx has dived the tower by himself. Got out the other side. This is going to be a 1-for-0. Another beautiful dive from FPX.
And this is heartbreaking for LNG. Like, Light and Lwandi have been, no pun intended, the shining light for LNG. The fact that they've been set so far behind means that they're going to have very little impact in this game, and you're now reliant on Mikuya in this top lane, who's having a field day.
Ooh, if that stun landed, it could have been a kill there. Nuguri gets the hook shot away, slides out of the play. That was damn close to a second solo kill for Mikuya, but it doesn't matter because they've got this Rift Herald, and Mikuya will be able to get every single plate in the top side.
So the reason I was looking at this top lane matchup so heavily favoring the Camille is with a little bit of jungle intervention, like you can swing this heavily in favor of Camille. Because you just go for this kind of level 3, level 4 play, you get the kills in favor of Nuguri, and then with the Hextech ultimatum, it's very easy for Nuguri to take these favorable trades, locking down Gnar and bursting him out before he hits the Mega. But with this lane matchup kind of being left by its lonesome, and Nuguri not really getting off to the best of starts, now Mikuya is in a fantastic spot, and this matchup is starting to run away from Nuguri.
Yeah, it's feeling rough for Nuguri, and he's playing on a champion that does realistically need a couple of items before she really starts to come into her own. The big thing for FPX, though, is that they're trading this, right? They're ignoring Nuguri completely, saying, look, you have to just deal with this so that Lwx can be the carry this game. Look, he's already got 4 plates on this bottom side. He's got himself his shield bow. Look at the item disparity between him and Light. There's a pickaxe and a couple of little daggers going on for the side of Light, whereas Lwx he's already got a mid item. He's absolutely monstrously huge. No dragons have been taken, though, so far this game. I feel like maybe FPX could start to look towards that in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think that's the big saving grace here for LNG is that even though we're trading back and forth a lot, right? We're still keeping the gold relatively even. There's a lot of Mikuya, there's a lot on towards Lwx, but with no dragons taken so far, there's no reason for LNG to be drawn into these fights. And LNG have been one of the teams that are willing to forego first, second, third dragon until they're in a position where they're willing to fight. And I think once again, we're going to see this in this game where if no dragons are taken early, there's no need for LNG to fight and they'll look to scale.
Yeah, we talked about it before with the Azir and the Tristana. They would love to just chill until the late game. It's down to FPX to put the pressure on, and that's one of the things we've complimented about FPX over the course of this split so far is the pace at which they play the game, the way that they stop their opponents from being able to enact their own win conditions. That's been the big strength for FPX. So anticipate that they will try and force something with this lead that they've got for themselves, or at least the bot lane lead that they've got for themselves, especially now Doinb has just finished off a Gore Drinker.
I mean, Doinb has, but we're also seeing that Mikuya, he's about to back. He'll be able to finish off his Gore Drinker of his own as well. So a lot of these item spikes are being matched. And when you look at Nuguri as well, going towards the... I'd imagine he's going to go towards the Divine Sunder in towards the Stark's Gauge build, where you do get a heap of health and you're a little bit tankier for these dive-orientated fights. He's going to take a while to get to that. And until that point, you don't really want to take these fights as Camille. You just don't have the survivability. So we're still waiting on a little bit of time for FPX to kind of enact a 5-man play. The 4-man unit, though, are still very capable of running down towards bot lane, looking for these dives. Topside?
They're really trading aggressively here. I think realizing Mikuya was exhausted right there, but Mikuya's like, I'm okay to extend this trade. You can't escape me. The hyper procking once again. The slows are here. Mikuya going to try and jump over the wall. Doinb does the same, but he's knocked back. He's into his ultimate. He's trying to survive, but he just doesn't have it. Tarzan takes his 3rd kill of the game. In the meantime, Bo has at least grabbed himself a dragon.
Lwandi's
going to he's going to be able to get him.
He's going to walk away. So on that top side, I like this. LNG knowing, look, bottom lane is going to go. We cannot try and hold on to this. Let's make a play on the top side of the map. Let's make sure we're getting something back in our favors. But also, honestly, I think Nuguri got baited a little bit there. You had Doinb starting to roam up to try and help out Nuguri, but end up running into Tarzan. I think Nuguri was trying to bait Mikuya into this unfavorable trade, but with Tarzan in the vicinity, FPX tried to make too many plays happen around the map, and they get bitten for it.
I mean, it's what worked for them in game number 1, right? Fighting on all sides and managing to win or go even in every single trade. Whereas this time, LNG have an answer, and it all pivots around Tarzan. Look at the LNG scoreboard, 3-0 on the bear man himself. He very much has to be the carry on the side of LNG, or at least transition that lead into setting someone else up as the carry. What's the next step for Tarzan here? How does he continue to stop FPX from running away with the game? I guess Nuguri is the answer, as it's a 2v1 right here. Nuguri's going to go down again. That's going to be his 2nd death of the game now, as he's just consistently overextending.
And this is it. This is what I want to see. You're going to have this Rift Herald spawning in just a minute. Kill Nuguri. Kill the solo laners. make sure that you are in control of this as LNG. Right now, you can have light shove out this bottom lane, put pressure onto the tier 1. He can then roam up with Lwandi, and with how far behind Nuguri is, LNG still have a fair shot at this team fight.
Lwx has moved towards the mid lane now, though, to try and force priority here. Herald's coming up in just a moment or two, and I'm hoping we get a bit of action here. I'm hoping we get to see these two teams start to face off against each other, start to size up with one another. See who can take out on top here. Because Doinb, even though he has died in the most recent skirmish, does have gold drink here. You can see across the board for FPX, mythics are starting to come through. It's a similar story for LNG though. The gold lead is nothing like it was last game. The Kraken Slayer is there. You can see the Turbo Chem Tank. Now Liandry's just finished for Icon as well. LNG are also in a position where some spikes are starting to come through.
It's just a little bit too late though. Icon backed to get the Liandry's, so he could have TP'd in towards mid, but it looks like instead LNG are happy to just trade cross map. They're just going to go, hey, we'll go take bottom tower. You'll probably get our top tower, maybe even mid lane turret off of this Rift Herald, but we don't want to fight right now. We just know that we definitely have the late game scaling, so why try and risk it for a biscuit in these mid game fights?
Because biscuits are delicious. That's my motto. As Nuguri's going to get dived, stunned up by Tarzan, and like easily has the damage to finish off the kill. Nuguri is just being focused by LNG. Beautifully done. And now I guess Tarzan's answering back saying he's the Korean on the server this time around. Is Doinb in a 1v1 with Makuya. It's a different top laner that Makuya has to face off against now. This one's got a few more items. Makuya getting chased down, steps over the trap, which means the pounce comes through from Bo to finish the kill. Doinb with another, and now they can herald the top lane.
And all Makuya had to do was back away. They'd made the cross-map play, they'd gotten the turret, they'd gotten the kill, and they'd crucially gotten some much-needed gold back for light. However, because Makuya ended up giving over that kill on the top side, that is now a little bit more of an even trade for FPX, but when you consider they still have this Rift Herald to play with, it's a big win for FPX, because now they've got that deep vision, they're starting to push in the waves, and they can look to crack open this mid lane turret.
Mid looks like it's the call. Luckily though, for LNG, Icon's on the Azir, so it is a little bit more difficult to just try and brute force a tower in that mid lane, just because the wave clear that comes on through there can be difficult to deal with. Dragon's up in 40 seconds though, Dagda. I'm still feeling like FPX are the ones with the advantage right now.
FPX do. I think it's a lot closer than I think LNG are giving it credit. But again, I mean, if you've got definitive scaling where off of 2.5, 3 items you end up winning the game, why worry about it? Like this, you're still looking at, you know, another 10 minutes if this dragon is taken on time before you have to worry about an Elder Dragon. You're then looking at essentially 30 minutes into the game, and you're going to be in prime position at LNG at that point. You can hold on to your mid lane turret if you want to protect it here in case a Rift Herald comes down as well. So more about mitigating loss from LNG means that they should be in reasonably good shape come that late game scenario.
Yeah. So the dragon, as you rightly... Actually, what? LNG just get the dragon. FPX don't even try and fight for it. They're going to go for a top tier 2 instead. And yeah, LNG saying, we don't need to forego this in scale. We can see FPX are moving towards the top side instead. So they grab themselves the dragon. Nicely done here by LNG. And that is going to remove a win condition for FPX realistically in that Dragon Soul that's just so far away. It's basically not going to happen.
Yeah. Also, I don't like taking the top lane turrets. And I would have wanted to see mid lane turret take open, because then you can push that deep vision in. Makes it a lot more easier for FPX to kind of go for these 1-3-1s, start moving Doinb into to kind of catch people unaware and get Nuguri time to scale. Now though, you've kind of just created this long lane that nobody in FPX really wants to go and play around, and you're giving LNG a bit more time to get to this late game point.
Makuya and Doinb going for fisticuffs right here. Doinb should be able to trade this one back. Makuya's turned into mini Gnar, but here's Icon to turn the play around. The damage is there and the TP's too late. In fact, it's cancelled elsewhere on the map. Nuguri gets denied his entry into the fray, and that means Bo's out of position as well. LNG snowballing advantage on advantage.
Great stop from Tarzan. He ends up getting the sucker punch on towards Nuguri as he's trying to TP. Light, though, needs to be careful.
Good jump away from Light. Keeps himself safe. Tarzan onto Lwx, who will survive. This is the LNG that we wanted to see. They are 4-1 in the standings for a reason. This is a top team, and they're proving it here against FPX. The Baron has been started as Lwx looking for damage onto Light, but the rest of the squad's going to jump on in. Lwx has gone too deep on there. Somebody survives for now. The shield's coming on through. Inferno trigger. It's only on to Mikuya, though. Not too much damage done just yet. Keep your eyes on Lwx. He is everything for FPX right now. As the fight ensues, Nuguri is there, but the kills are coming in. Inferno trigger for the double. Lwx pops off once more. Icon tries to escape, but he's blasted out of infinity, and it's a triple for Lwx.
Mikuya held on to that Gnar ultimate for so damn long. It meant he didn't catch the key members of FPX, and now it's FPX who are going to get the Baron. What was once looking so good for LNG is tossed to the side.
Incredible fight here from FPX, and look at the scoreline for Lwx now. 6-1-3. This Samira is going into God mode. And I thought that this was doomed. When they caught Lwx there, I thought it was over.
And watch here. Mikuya is holding on to the ultimate, could have got the 3-man ult there, but instead gives Doinb access in towards the backline, pushes everyone away, and at this stage, all he's ulting is Nuguri. So you aren't actually getting any of the key members, you're not shutting down Lwx, and from that point, with the Inferno trigger up, Lwx is just ripping people to shreds.
It's beautiful stuff from the side of FPX. They wanted to group up and skirmish. Oh, that was more than just a skirmish, let's be honest. They wanted to group up for the fight, though, and they finally find their opportunity. LNG play into the hands of FPX. This is what we talked about. They wanted to scale. They didn't actually want to go for these big team fights just yet. And now, suddenly, the gold lead is 4,000 for FPX. Doinb has been found by Tarzan on the bottom side, but he suddenly realized that Doinb ain't alone. You can see Crisp moving over here. They've got some reinforcements as Bo arrives as well. Mikuya moving up to the top side of the map. But with Baron now, we talked about this before, Dagda. When FPX get Baron, they accelerate the game like no other.
And they're trying to do that right now, but unfortunately, earlier mistakes kind of coming back to bite them. Still haven't got this mid lane turret down, and they should be able to get off this push, but LNG know that, look, if this mid lane turret stands for a little bit longer, it's way more difficult for Nuguri and Doinb to actually get on towards these side lane turrets.
The mid tier 1 seems to be difficult for FPX at this
point. That's what I mean.
The wave is cleared. Definitely a bit of a challenge for them as Doinb. Obviously, Icon incredibly good at just clearing away the wave. Doinb taking a lot of damage for free there, but Icon has stayed too long. Crisp is here, Bo is here. It's going to be the Emperor's Divide, but even with the Zhonya's, I don't think he gets to live another day. It buys him time, but not enough. Doinb now exhausted. The sustain is there, stunned against the wall as he tries to slice and dice his way out. But the CC, there's just so much of it. Doinb somehow surviving for so long, like finally finishes that kill off. Mikuya now turning into Mini Gnar once more. Crisp gets the knock up. In comes Samira with the Inferno trigger, but a great belly bop, and Lwx is shut down. Jumps back out of the fight though, keeps himself alive. In with the Hextech ultimatum, Nuguri finally gets a bit of revenge.
God, Samira when she's ahead is so disgusting. Diving a tower 1v3, and even though she gets CC'd, still manages to escape away at the backside. And with that, FPX, they do crack that mid lane turret, but most importantly, they crack this bot side inhibitor as well. FPX looking to make this a 2-0.
FPX look terrifying. Another Drake going their way. And literally, what, 4 minutes ago, we were saying, look how close this game is. LNG is scaling up. Everything looks great. Look at the gold lead now. 7,000, nearly 8,000. In favor of FPX. As soon as they get the Baron, they just flip the game on its head.
Absolutely insane. And from what was a very safe and cautious LNG, to have one fight blow it all up is a heartbreak. LNG, we said, look, this is going to be a game where you're looking to scale. This is a game where you're going to want to take it easy. And although these early gold leads looked kind of similar, These Samira plays are looking insane from Lwx, just turning around every time LNG fight. And we see it again in this bottom lane where they get the pick on towards Icon. And again, it's looking good for LNG. Kill onto Doinb, catching Bo out underneath the turret. And then eventually Lwx shows up and just pulls that trigger, just clearing up everyone on LNG's side.
And the thing is, he just has to kill one of them. He doesn't need to kill everybody in the team. He just has to kill enough. It can slide back out of the play again, get the reset on the dash, keep himself safe. He's on 3 items now. He's even got armor pen just to deal with this Udyr from Tarzan. The bot supers are going to continue to push in, continue to be a nightmare for LNG to deal with. Tristana is particularly good at dealing with super minions. Same for Azir. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue for LNG. But still huge amounts of pressure that FPX can use to gain control of the rest of them.
And the big problem for LNG here as well is just some of the item builds aren't really working for them. You can see Icon has gone for the Morellonomicon because the healing from pretty much everyone on the FPX side. And although I can understand it, it means you're very much delayed in those core items that provide a lot of damage, and you're more of a utility focused build with this, trying to provide a little bit of pressure relief from light for anyone who jumps on top of him.
Oh, Icon is in a 1v1 with Nuguri, who's keeps on going a little bit far, but he was just baiting this time as Doinb arrives on the scene. Empress defied. One more hit would finish Nuguri off. The burn gets him as Icon finally gets that kill. Nuguri is not having a good game for himself. He is 1-5 right now on the scoreboard. Doinb gets on towards the Sun Disc. There's no pressure elsewhere from FPX either.
We're getting a little bit of a taste of LCK Nuguri, you know, the 0-3 power spike coming in that's now gone to 1-5 power spike. At some stage it'll happen, but either way, nice play from LNG. Like, getting these picks and buying some space and time for them is exactly what they need to do. You want this Infinity Edge completed coming in for light. It's ever so close, and they can still just turtle. Like, they can give up this next dragon. They can look to just get vision around Baron, which is what you're seeing them do right now. They don't need to fight. If they can hold steady and hold the line, just maybe they can get these item completions that can prevent FPX from closing out this game.
That's the key, and I'm going to bring up a conversation that's been talked about in League of Legends once or twice before. And that's the idea of the early inhib being potentially a negative, right? If you can't actually turn that inhibitor into anything more, all you're doing is funneling extra gold into the enemy team. That does feel a little bit like what's happening here, where FPX have taken that first inhib, but there's been no issues whatsoever for LNG to clear away these super minions and to maintain their other 2 inhibs. Now Baron is up, but the inhib isn't going to be down for that much longer. You can see there's a super there, but it is miles away from pressuring the base.
It will create a lot of pressure still, though, for the likes of this Baron, and that's really what FPX are looking to use. The problem is that with how far behind Nuguri is, he's not really able to put pressure on towards that open inhibitor. FPX would love to have this Camille versus Gnar heavily in favor of Nuguri, and then they can play this all the live long day. They're trying to use that last super minion wave, though, to get LNG to fight, but the Baron could be gone before they get there.
They don't even need to fight. They've got the purple worm, and now they can get a bonus on top of it. Tarzan arrived too late to the scene, and he's just taken down. Inferno Trigger about to come on through, and everybody stacked on top of it. The whirlwind of death from Lwx, as it's an easy team fight for FPX. Mikuya messes up the flash. It's insult to injury, and Crisp gets himself a well-deserved kill.
Crisp deserved that kill because Crisp set up that entire play. Everyone on LNG was stuck behind Icon's wall until Crisp yoinked them back with the magnetism, puts them into the waiting hands of Lwx Inferno Trigger, and puts FPX up in the 2-0 victory.
I cannot believe FPX managed to pull this one off. It felt so close. It felt like LNG had read their game plan and figured out the solution. But the answer was no. FPX still dominant with a 2-0 victory here today.
Gorgeous stuff from FPX. Dominance in game number 1. Game number 2, they had full control from the early game. Nearly LNG were able to hang on, get towards those 3 items, find that team fight. But with the big gold lead FPX had amassed in that bottom lane, Lwx and Crisp would not be silenced.
Really something special that we get to witness with this team. And I feel like this is a combination of players now on FPX that people have to fear. This is no longer just a team that is like underneath your EDGs and your RNGs that are topping the table. This is now, in my mind, a championship contender. This is a team that genuinely could be in the finals, maybe even take it all. They're 6-1 in the standings right now. They have 13 game wins. They have 2 game losses. This is a team that when they win, they dominate their opponents, and they've shown us that here today. Even when the early game didn't go how they wanted, they still managed to get a convincing win.
And it's classic FPX fashion, right? Doinb bringing out this Renekton in the mid lane. Bruisers have been kind of the go-to for a lot of Doinb in this split, and he gets a huge amount of lane pressure, which he then can execute in his side lane, use to group with the team. Nuguri can kind of play multiple different styles, but certainly in this game opting more towards that 1-3-1 as well. And Lwx and Crisp with Bo have just been unstoppable. Crisp specifically helping Bo to get a lot of these early leads. That bot lane just ran away with LNG, or ran away from LNG in the very early stages of the game. And from that point, it was done. Like, FPX just are so clean at closing out these games. As we said during the cast, they have the most towers taken of any team in the LPL at 20 minutes. And this is why they just so quickly start to break open structures, move around the map, catch you unaware, make these picks in the mid game, and turn that into standing gold in those turrets.
And this felt a little bit like we saw some of the weakness on the side of LNG. When we looked at this roster, some people said that this was going to be a really good roster, other people less convinced. I certainly had them a lot lower power rankings wise than they have performed so far. But when we talk about players like Light and Lwandi, for example, they've been pleasantly surprising this split. But in a series like this, when you're against Lwx and Crisp in lane, when you're against a jungler like Bo that's going to put pressure on that bottom side if he needs to, Light and Lwandi weren't able to deal with that pressure.
And this is the thing, like we talked about kind of the easy to execute compositions that LNG have been working with. Well, we started to see it again, but the crux of a lot of LNG is Light and Lwandi in that bottom lane. Light being the late game AD carry that they look to play around, and FPX identified that beautifully. Both games in a row, they played around the game plan of LNG to get Light ahead. In game 1, it was Lwx and Crisp avoiding that all-in potential, and in game number 2, it was enabling the all-in potential from Lwx and Crisp, with Bo playing heavily around that bottom lane. So beautiful play from FPX, and I think now a very serious issue for LNG where teams have identified, hey, if we all in on this bottom lane, whatever that might look like, the rest of LNG haven't really got an opposition to us, and they're not going to step up and carry.
And I mean, Makuya looked good individually, right? Getting the kills onto Nuguri, Nuguri actually had a really bad game here, but in that bot lane matchup, I mean, we talked about the Tristana for Light, right? This has been something that everyone's been banning against him. But FPX basically say, look, you want to play this, what, Season 2 champion? Season 1 champion? We've got a Season 10 champion. And they're basically the same champion. They're both champions that want to jump in, one-shot someone, reset the dash, and one-shot everyone else. Guess what? Samira came out more recently, therefore she's more powerful. That's how League of Legends works. And they've got a Season 11 support alongside it. You can't, they were out-seasoned. There's so many hundreds of years on the side of FPX. How do you play against that?
Hey, look, it was seasoned well. It was nice and spicy from FPX, and I'm delighted to see them coming in with some very strong bot lane, playing through Lwx and Crisp, because we've kind of seen multiple different styles from Crisp now. We've seen the roaming plays against IG that set up Bo wonderfully. This was Crisp in lane. This is Crisp making himself known as one of the strongest supports in the LPL, because his understanding of how to roam around the map, we saw it in game number 1, picking up that very quick kill for Doinb. Now we're seeing his mechanics in lane on this rell as well. Like, I love watching Crisp, and honestly, with the likes of Lumao not having the performances that he needs to, Crisp is very quickly rising as one of the premier supports in the LPL.
Especially on these hard engaged supports, he's looked incredible. And like we said, we've seen two different versions of Crisp across this series as well. We talked about him wanting to roam, wanting to leave the lane and go influence the map elsewhere. That was game one in a nutshell, right? Crisp getting out of the lane and influencing the rest of the map. Game number two, it was like, all right, I'm on the same pick, but this time we're playing all in. We're playing 2v2. We're playing to win the lane itself. So when you've got a player that is this versatile in the support role, you're instantly set up for success. And especially in the eyes of Bo. We talked about Bo versus Tarzan here. And it felt like, even though Tarzan actually, especially in that second game, felt like he kind of had the advantage in terms of the jungle matchup, the support that Bo has on this FPX roster means that he doesn't necessarily have to be the best jungler in the world to win these matchups, because he's got one of the best teams in the world around him.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue for Tarzan in this series was game one, he was locked into bot lane. It was like, look, you have to go and make this game plan happen. And then in game number two, we did see him getting some advantages for LNG, but it just didn't matter. Like, the bot lane difference had been compounded so heavily that Lwx and Crisp had just run away with this game.
Well, Dagda, I know you want it. I know I want it. I know you guys at home want it as well. We've got some Samira highlights. Let's take a look at what Lwx
do I
cooked up
want
for
it?
us in that game. Yeah, you do. Whether you like it or not, you want it. Lwx played this so beautifully.
He really did. And look, we can meme, 200 years, whatever the hell else we want to talk about for Samira, but this was really dominant play from Lwx, and consistently pushing the champion to its limits with Crisp here as well on this rell, setting up so well. And you can see it here. This team fight was the culmination of all that early game pressure he got. And honestly, it surprised me. I knew that Lwx was ahead, but when I'm able to watch him do this against LNG, like, this is where Lwx was just taking over, and there was just no coming back for LNG.
It really is, honestly, a pleasure to watch. This was the play that really surprised me, is where he gets stunned under the tower. I thought he was doomed, but Bo coming in and finishing that kill off means he gets the reset. He can dash out to safety, and then the rest was just beautiful. And this was the final fight. I mean, at this point, it was already over, let's be honest.
Yeah. But this is what I wanted to see from Lwx. Like, he's always kind of been the Kai'Sa player, this more mechanically strong player who's able to get into the thick of things in these fights and come out on top. And it feels like now that we've got Kai'Sa coming back into the meta, we've got the likes of Samira in, it feels like the meta has really shifted in his favor. And I know we've said this before, but I feel like we're getting world champion Lwx back, the guy who can make these plays, the guy that pushed FPX to its limits. And I'm really happy to see FPX as a whole growing, both with Nuguri, FPX, Crisp stepping, or Lwx, Crisp stepping up as well. Like, it has just been incredible for this squad.
It is beautiful to see Lwx firing on all cylinders again, but another world champion that we're going to talk to now